Welcome to Your Legacy Stories podcast. Your host, Natalie McQueen, helps people from all walks of life to create, live, and preserve their legacy for future generations to enjoy. Natalie became a legacy designer after a near-death experience that made her completely reevaluate the legacy she was leaving in this world. She is also a book publisher who has guided over 500 authors to become international bestsellers. Natalie's mission is to help you craft the legacy you deserve, encourage you to live it to the fullest, and then preserve it for future generations to enjoy. On this show, her guests share moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories.
Well, hi, everyone. This is Natalie McQueen with Your Legacy Stories. And today we are doing an author spotlight, and we have Robert Jones, who is the brains and brawn behind this series. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Robert, why don't you take us and share a little bit about the series?
Oh, thank you for that, Natalie. I mean, we've been on this journey together for several books now. And, it wouldn't have started if there wasn't this thing called COVID back in 2000. I had an entrepreneurial community, and we had 17 chapters across the country. And overnight, we had to close all those chapters down, and I didn't know what to do. And one day, this crazy kid, who was my son, came across and he said, "Dad, you old people have it all wrong. When you talk about legacy, you always talk about stuff." And he says, "Why don't you talk about knowledge? Because they can take your stuff, but they can't take your knowledge." And that's what inspired this book, was to bring entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers from around the world, bring us all together so we could share hope, inspiration, and support to other entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers around the world. And oh my goodness, now we're on our 5th book, and we've had over 1,400 authors from 40 countries in this book series, which is now one of the largest entrepreneurial book series that have ever existed. So I'm really excited about that.
One big happy family.
Absolutely.
So why don't we go around the room and introduce yourself, share where you're from, and how you make the world a better place. So why don't we start with Lynn?
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Lynn Banis, and I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And yesterday it was warm, and today it's cold. So welcome to the beach. I make the world better because I work with widows who have gotten to the point where they are able to think more clearly and manage their emotions. And then I take them all the way through a process to create and transition into their new life.
Nice. Very nice. That's important, because that's probably one of the hardest times of your life, right? And to have
Absolutely.
guidance is so important. And how about you, Lana?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lana Stevenson, and I am in sunny San Diego, California. And I try to make the world a better place by helping people who are diagnosed with a chronic disease. It started off with cancer because my daughter was diagnosed with cancer 10 years ago, and I saw the challenges of the actual diagnosis, where you go. And I really want to inspire people that it's not a death sentence, that if you keep exercising, if you maintain a healthy lifestyle, you can still live an active life to your best ability. And then I moved on to chronic diseases, because this challenge is appropriate for everyone facing a disease or a health challenge.
Absolutely. There's a lot of that going around, and we need your message more and more. We need to get us all healthy, and the new year's coming, so we may have to do just a spotlight on
I'm ready.
2025 and getting healthy. And Cowboy Joe, how about you?
I'm Cowboy Joe Marques, and I'm from Gulf Shores, Alabama, which is white sand beaches, crystal clear waters. Best kept secret in the state, just about. And I help the world through a couple of things. One is I advise companies on capital structures and proper entity structures that are making an impact on people, especially a lot of veteran-focused, disadvantaged youth, and Indigenous people, Native American people, both in medicine, finance, things like that. And then I also teach people how money and investing works and how important consciousness is when you're involved in money and investing, because until you get that up there fixed, the rest of it is a struggle.
Right. Yeah. And many businesses aren't set up properly, right? And then you can down the road run into a lot of probably issues that you don't want to deal with.
It's especially nonprofits, because they didn't get to a point where they're in a loop where they're constantly trying to raise money versus doing what they were set up to do. And if you structure them properly on the front end, then you can remove a lot of that struggle.
Absolutely.
Wow. This is pretty good. And I'm going to jump in and ask the next question because it's one I really love. And all of us, I mean, the world's everything's competing for our time. We get on a computer, there's things flying at us. We turn on the television, we just drive down the street and there's things flashing at us all the time. But everyone here took the time, effort, and energy to be a part of this book, 365 Days of Abundance in the Art of Connection. You might have been an author before, or maybe this is the first time that you've ever been an author, but you chose this book. And I want to start with Lana, why this book and why now?
Well, this is the fourth edition that I am in. I didn't know you the first edition, and as my world changed from a performance athlete and a performance coach to moving to the medical field, I had written an ebook for parents of adult children who were dealing with cancer, because it's a very difficult process in how you handle all sides. And then I got a phone call from Mr. Robert Jones one day, who I knew nothing of. I didn't even think of myself as an author, because I saw my ebook more as a journal, as more as kind of therapy for myself. And the prospect of networking and how Robert explained, I thought this is a no-brainer. If I can get my message out in one page and and meet people and network, and it just has snowballed from there. Like I said, this is the fourth one, and I cannot say enough about the people I've met in business and personally through net. So thanks, Robert.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I want to go to Cowboy Joe. This is the first book that he's been in the Art of Connection series, and I love it when he shows up, because he shows up proud, and he always takes time to contribute with everyone. And Cowboy Joe, I mean, this book and right now, tell us about your author journey and why abundance.
Well, I've written 2 other books. My first book was Dirt to Wealth on land development and how to do land development. My second book is Cowboy Wit and Wisdom. That's basically cowboy quotes translated for normal folk so that they can actually understand what I'm saying. What inspired me to be a part of this book is I teach about money and money being a resource to express who you truly are, and it's a necessary resource. But connections and friendship is your most valuable asset you have. It's true. It truly is. You can take away every single penny that I've ever been given. As long as I've got my connections, I can rebuild. And I try to live my life that way. I always focus on the relationship first and the money second. And Dr. Ken, who is my publisher, introduced me to you, and I just truly, the more I can help people understand that relationship is more important than money. It's the best capital you can have is relationship capital. It beats money capital every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. And and Lynn, I love what Cowboy Joe said, about the human capital. And one little thing that a lot of people don't know about this book is it's written mostly by people who are 45 years and older. But this book is very popular. The most popular demographic from that standpoint is 18 to 35-year-olds. And they're finding that they love this book because it's written in the way that they consume information, very powerful and concise. And these one-page bites, so to speak, carry them from page to page to page to page. And even administrators say, you know what, my kids are starting to read again. And so which is great. I didn't know they didn't read, but
Right.
but we say, you know, we've gone from the Rolodex generation to the app generation,
Right.
and you know, and here we are now. You know, why this book? Why abundance? And tell us about your author journey.
Okay, I have written 2 books. One is called a discovery journal, and the other is Getting Unstuck, a guide by a coach. I can't remember the name of it right now. That's terrible. But
You need an app for that. No.
Yeah, I know. I had retired and you know, kind of closed everything down, and then all of a sudden I lost my mom, my little brother, and my husband all within 3 years.
Wow.
And having gone through that deep compound grief, I realized that one of the major things that leaves those grieving so lonely is the lack of connection. And part of that is our society, because there's such a taboo around talking about grief. And, you know, people will, they won't say things because they say, I don't know what to say.
Right.
And then the person who's grieving gets left after a few weeks on their own. So I really encourage my clients to find ways to rebuild connections. And, you know, that is a huge help in the healing process. So that's why I wanted to be part of this book.
Thank you.
So I want to ask a question. When you were writing your quote, how does your quote reflect your personal journey towards abundance? And Lynn, why don't you get us started?
Okay. Well, I fell in the trap of kind of withdrawing, and that's very normal. My family, I have 3 daughters, and they've been absolutely amazing. And I don't mean but, and they go back to their family. And as a widow, you think, well, you know, I can't impose on them. I can't, you know, so it's easy to isolate yourself.
Sure.
And so I just really want people to know that you can move past that, and that connection is part of your guideline, part of your umbilical cord, so to say, to moving into the next chapter of your life in a healthy way.
Right. Yeah, that's important. I could definitely see, because your world has just completely shifted, and
Absolutely.
it's easy just to, you know, stay home or not reach out to anyone because you're just not feeling yourself.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
You'd much rather be in bed with the covers over your head.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure for a couple days, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
You can't stay there.
Right.
Yeah. Cowboy Joe, how about you?
You starting to sound like me before I started traveling. Dog used to be a 3-syllable word. My quote is basically, most people go through life worried about losing everything, so they never venture out. And my quote is, don't worry about being thrown. Everybody's going to get thrown. It's not about making it through life without getting thrown. It's about how quick you get back up after you've been thrown.
Okay.
And I'd rather arrive at the grave broke up and on one leg than to ride in a perfectly preserved body and have never lived life. And that's the biggest thing. If you look at literally every successful person, they've been thrown. The only reason they're successful is because they picked themselves back up, didn't take no for an answer, and kept going. So I've
Yeah.
literally lived my life on that quote.
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
important. Often, especially in business, we feel like something didn't work out, it failed, my business failed, and you move on, and you can absorb those feelings where if you're like, okay, I now know what didn't work, let's flip it around and move forward. So very important. And what about you, Lana?
Well, it was part of my journey, when Leora was diagnosed with cancer. I kind of, it was like my life stopped, and I didn't know how I was going. I mean, as a single mom, I didn't know how I was going to make it, because I knew I am not going to be able to work for a while. Couple of months, 2-3 months. I mean, it was pretty intense, and I had a really difficult time accepting help. That's just part of my personality. I had a hard time, and I slowly learned in this period, I need help. I need help,
Yeah.
and I'm able to accept it. So the whole feeling of abundance kind of shifted for me in terms of, and in the Jewish religion, it's, charity and giving is so important. And I learned that if I don't take help, I'm robbing someone else of the opportunity of giving. And so I learned to accept help, and which made my journey so much easier. And that's when my whole shift, it's not about what you have, it's about how much you can give, how much you can enrich other people's lives, because it all comes back. So, that was my major shift in this 10-year journey, and it keeps shifting. But what I do know is the more you give, the better your life is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
amazing. And Robert, how about you?
Well, it really makes me think when I'm listening to everyone here today. We've all been a part of books. We've all written different pieces in all our lives, and believe me, I have lots of books.
Right.
And for many of those books, they're really just assemblies of pages and pages and pages. But what I found with the Art of Connections, it's not the pages of what we've written, it's the people who wrote those pages. That's the importance about this book series.
Yep.
And because it's those people that I meet, the pages that I read, and those that I journey out to connect to, that's what makes this so amazing. And I say this, I mean, I did 2 church missions. I've been in the United States Marine Corps. I was a professional juggler, and I'm a recovering programmer. All these crazy things I've done in my life. But one of the things I can truly say is I've made more friends in the last 5 years, and business friendships as well, than I have in the last 35 years that preceded it. And it's all because the people that are in this book, we all live in the same space. And we know that we get because we give so hard. And that's what I love about, everyone that's here today, is that we all have the heart to give. And, that's what I'm very appreciative about this book.
Well, I have to say, you as a leader, you are the one that attracts the heart-centered, and it is not a community that just comes in to take. And often those people that do come in and have that attitude leave very quickly,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. You're right.
it's not a good fit. So thank you for what you do for the community.
Well, we always just say, it's like, I've been doing enough community of takers. I want to be in a community of givers, because then we can outgive each other. So
Yeah, absolutely. So is there any last words that you want to say about this series, or inspire people to come in and join this group of people and get to know each and every one on that page?
Well, I really want to ask, Anna, I mean, because she's a repeat offender. And so she's been in the book, and this is her 4th time. And I believe that the only reason why she may not have been in the 5th book is that we didn't know each other.
That's right.
But but tell me your why. Why this book? Why the people in this book? And why do it again?
Robert, I think almost everyone I've met in this group have been such an inspiration to me. on so many different levels, and you and Natalie as well. I mean, I can't say enough about how much both of you give, and I know how much energy it takes to give, but the fulfillment of coming back, and I just feel enriched with each and every meeting I go to. And when I don't manage, like the past few months because my daughter hasn't been well, I miss it. I really miss the connection, and it affects my day-to-day business. It affects who I am because I'm not making the connection. So I love the book. I love meeting the people that are in the book, and I just thank you both so much for everything you do. I'll keep
we
repeating
miss
as
you
long as
when
I
you're not
can.
there.
We miss you. Yeah.
Thanks. We're almost back.
Exactly. Good. That's good to hear. Well, thank you everyone for being here, and we will put this out and we'll let you know how to share it out to your friends, and really let your friends, your family, and other business owners know the power of this Rolodex of awesomeness, as I call it.
Yeah.
And get a copy and just be a part of this community.
Yeah. And remember, friends don't let friends leave empty pages. So have them come into the book and write as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Y'all have a good one.
you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Legacy Story Podcast. If you would like to share your legacy story with Natalie or get your legacy book started, please reach out at giftsoflegacy@gmail.com. Be sure to add My Legacy Stories in the subject line. We would love to help you share your legacy message out to the world. Natalie would like to invite you to join our private Facebook group, Create Your Legacy Life. She shares tips on book publishing, ways to create and leave your legacy, and she interviews the most amazing legacy creators, sharing their moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories. See you next week.